Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Yes, we are looking at 3 licks that'll make you look better than you are. So the criteria for today's 3 licks were, number 1, I wanted to keep them on the pentatonic scale. That way it's accessible for people who are just learning to solo as well as everybody else, so they're going to stay on the pentatonics. Number 2, I wanted the fingering to be fairly easy, but I wanted them to sound complex. Okay, so we're going to mix and match up all these pentatonic notes in ways that are maybe not typical like blues or rock licks. So that's the second thing. We want them to be easy to play on the pentatonic scale, and of course they have to be creative. So I'll put the tab on the screen for each lick as we go through them. Feel free to pause the video at any point. If you want a paper copy, I'll make those available over on my Patreon page. Huge thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel on Patreon. It really enables me to do tutorials like this. So anyway, we'll be using the Relish Mary 1 guitar with bare knuckle emerald pickups into my Hughes and Kettner. Let's jump in, check out the first lick. All right, you guys, let's start with example number 1. Now, all 3 licks are going to be based around the A minor pentatonic scale, which starts on 5th fret of your 6th string and sounds like this. Now, of course, I think most of us know that, and you can play it anywhere on the neck. You can use these licks anywhere, but A minor is going to be our home base for these 3 licks. If you don't know what your pentatonics are, I've got a whole playlist full of lessons. Just check out my tutorial playlist. Tons of stuff there. So the first thing to note about example number 1 is we're playing 16th notes, which are groups of 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a so forth. But the groupings of the lick itself is groups of 3, as you can see. So we've got this interesting 3/4. So by the time you start your second phrase, you haven't quite completed a bar. So it's kind of like this offset feel. Pretty cool. And then the other thing is we're doing hammer, skip, hammer, skip, hammer, skip, hammer, slide. So we're kind of breaking up the scale that way as well. It sounds like this. Right? You can tell 1 E and then, you know, I'm not on the downbeat, I'm on the ah, but when I'm starting my second phrase. So 1 E and ah. So that's why it kind of feels a little, you know, off kilter. Right? That kind of thing. So I'm using hybrid picking, so I'm using my pick, and then for the skip note, I'm using my middle finger, then I just move the whole thing down, do the same thing each time. Of course, you could just use, you know, a flat picking. And depending on how I'm playing or what I'm playing, you know, I might switch back and forth. But if I need speed, I find the hybrid picking a little bit, just a little bit more efficient. And then, of course, you can just go on with the rest of your blues, you know. The other way you could use this, obviously, is triplets. Because it is groups of 3, it would just be slightly slower. It would just be like triplet, 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 especially if you're doing 8th note triplets. That's 3 notes per beat, okay? So there's multiple ways you can use this lick, but I find it really versatile just to mix in and, you know, suddenly turn some heads if you're just doing classic blues licks, and then suddenly you've got this kind of skipping, ascending thing. Sounds really cool. All right, let's check out lick number 2. That'll make you look better than you are. So we've got another straight pentatonic lick. The first one had not a single note that wasn't on the pentatonic. Same thing here. We're just breaking it up in a different way. So kind of double stop fingerings all the way through the scale, but we're not going to be playing double stops. Like that, we're breaking it up 1 note at a time. And again, just a creative way to play the scale, starting top down, you know, 2 notes at a time, kind of skipping notes on the pentatonic. But anyway, 2 strings at a time. And I kind of have the slide, although you could play it all the way down. You know, all the way down the scale. But for this one, I think we're just going to slide up because it kind of leads into other phrases nicely. So let's play that nice and slow. I'm just using my pick. I'm starting with an upstroke. I'm going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down with my right hand, okay? Just like that. And of course, again, as you're playing, you know, your blues or whatever, you know, it just breaks it up. Suddenly you're playing something totally different, and hopefully makes you look better than you are. Now, our third lick is based on a pentatonic classic, but of course we're going to put a twist on it. So here's the classic lick. It's basically a box shape over 3 pentatonic positions: G, A, C, D, G, A, C, D, G, A, C, D. Same exact fingering, so it's definitely a classic. If you don't know it, you should learn it. It sounds like this. Okay, just an easy way to get from low to high. But when I play it, I usually, you know, if you've followed the channel for any length of time, you've heard me play something like this. I usually do chromatics, so I'll do, you know, little rolls of 3, like a triplet feel. So I use that lick all the time, but again, we're putting a twist on it. So instead of going from box to box, we're going to kind of extend it. So we're going to spend, you know, a little longer on the 5th string, a little longer on the 3rd string, and then a different kind of flourish on the skinny strings. So here we go. This is what it sounds like. Again, so a nice way to go low to high. All the notes straight off your pentatonic scale, nothing, you know, out of the key, so it's all going to sound great. And of course, this little high part, I use it all the time on my channel in some way, shape, or form because it just goes so nicely with that form 1. And you got a root note right there. So if you're just doing blues licks, awesome little lick. So that's how we're ending it. Let's play it again all the way through. I guess if you're not using your used to using your pinky finger, that might be, you know, the hardest part of that lick, just kind of like coming up here. A little bit tricky, but other than that, really easy to use. Now, a really fun and useful way to practice these licks is to link them together. So I'm going to use a phrase. So another pentatonic phrase, and then I'm going to do lick number 1. I'll go back. Then lick number 2. So I'll play it for you. And then back. That kind of thing. And that in-between phrase can be anything, just something that you know well. And then you can kind of just go through each one of those phrases. Sounds really good. This one is a little bit too long, so I had to shorten it. But anyway, you get the idea. Really fun and easy. And, you know, once it becomes, you know, second nature or under your fingers, muscle memory kicks in, you'll be able to play these without even thinking about them. And they sound really cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to support the channel and pick up the paper copy from my Patreon page, that's always greatly appreciated. If you're so inclined, you can check out the t-shirt store, tab store on your way out. Other than that, have an amazing week, you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.